Reet then, lads and lasses, how we doing, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Welcome back to the Geordie Josh channel, and welcome back for 5pm news. In today's 5pm news video, we've got a report coming out from The Athletic, a very credible journalistic company. They have reported that Newcastle United are unlikely to trigger the 1-year contract extension in Callum Wilson's contract. As it stands right now, if this is true, the soon-to-be 33-year-old, he turns 33 years old in this month in February, the 27th I believe, will become a free agent in the summer, June 2025, if of course Newcastle United don't trigger that 1-year extension. So of course we've got through the news, but I wanted to have the conversation with you lot, and you will let me know down below as always in every video. Would you trigger the 1-year contract extension in Callum Wilson's contract, or let him leave at no expense or no gain for the club? Now, in my opinion, I'll get onto it later, but I'm sitting on the fence. I really am. Do we trigger that extension knowing that Callum Wilson scores goals when he's called upon, albeit not every single week, but on the other hand, it can't be every single week because he gets injured. So is it better to cut our ties, have his head held high when he is a club cult hero, so to speak? He's been a fantastic striker for the Steve Bruce era, the darker days of Newcastle United, which of course we won't speak about because they weren't very nice days. So without further ado, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you are new for all Newcastle United content. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, should we extend Callum Wilson's contract, as of course it's not a 2-3 year contract extension? Newcastle United do have the option to trigger that 1-year extension in Callum Wilson's contract by the time that runs out. If we did trigger it, he would be 34 years old. You'll probably not be standing by then, but look, all jokes aside, I am sitting on the fence, and I know you lot want a straight opinion. Oh, definitely don't renew it, definitely renew it. I'm sorry, I am being a bit of a wuss here, but I'm sitting on the fence, and the reason for that being, I've definitely got to the positive side of both sides of the story. Yet again, you let me know down below what you think, but if Newcastle were to trigger that 1-year extension, I don't think it would be the end of the world. Now let's just say this, if Newcastle, we don't know, I'm just using a rough ballpark estimate here, I don't have any insides, I promise, if Newcastle have £100 million to spend in the summer transfer window, which of course is when Callum Wilson becomes a free agent, it's been made very well known in Newcastle United, obviously, although Jacob Murphy is on fine form, need a right winger in the summer transfer window or as soon as possible, please. Anyways, we do need a right winger, and through the previous pursuits of Mark Gahey being linked with Antonio Silva, not very credibly, but many other centre-backs like Juma Bar, Abdul Kodia Kusanov, the list goes on. Newcastle United, judging by all these reports, rumours, etc, want a right winger and a right-sided centre-back. Now, in today's day and age, whether you are 220, 200, yeah, you get the picture. You can just admit, in today's day and age of the transfer markets, two players, if you want a right winger and a right-sided centre-back, we need a right winger to improve the team now. We're not talking about in 2-3 years to grow them as a player. We need quality now. And maybe for next season, when Fabian Shaw is obviously like every other player, but a bit more in-depth, aging as a footballer, he's getting to the near 40s, although he is in his early 30s, I'll give him it. It's not what he wants to hear, but we need quality for next season, especially going into Europe. There's a little bit of a lack of quality in the right-sided centre-backs. Fabian Shaw can still do it, but Emil Kraft, Jamal Lascelles just coming back from an ACL injury. So if we do need two top quality centre-backs, or a right centre-back and a right winger, £50 million each, you can all admit in today's day and age, will get you quality right now. And of course, judging by Newcastle's previous deals, it would be a player to benefit them in the future as well. Maybe a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, but Johan Bakayoko, who we've been linked with, I believe is 21 years old. £50 million, and of course, on a centre-back and a right winger, would take up that toll of £100 million. We don't know if that's how much we've got to spend, but I'm just using an estimate. Now, of course, if Newcastle United do need that very destined right winger, and we do, and a right-sided centre-back is what the club want. Midfield, we don't need anyone there. Left-back, right-back, you know, if Kieran Trippier does get another contract extension, we don't need any full-backs, maybe a goalkeeper. But if we spend our budget, and you can admit it in today's day and age, on a right winger and a centre-back, there's no money being spent on a striker. And we have been linked with strikers recently, but if we are spending that money and we're not going to bring in a striker, is the worst thing in the world to renew Callum Wilson's contract now as of next season? William Asula, of course, now probably third in the pecking order behind Callum Wilson, although been fantastic against Birmingham City on the right side as well, a right winger. That could be our problems. You never know, ladies and gentlemen. However, if Callum Wilson was to trigger that 1-year contract extension, I would like to see William Masula be second string to Alexander Isak next season. Even if he is on the right-hand side, that might be a different story. We might have a world-class right winger by then. But as in terms of development, we can all agree 22 years old is what Asula will be next season. He needs to start getting first team minutes. He's not exactly 16, 17, 18, is he? He's 22 years old. He doesn't go on like it. He seems like an 18-year-old fresh out of the Sunday League levels, the way that lad bosses around the pitch with these absolute ecstatic runs, and just the way he goes on. He's so lovely, isn't he? However, it is a need for William Asula to get first team minutes next season. So, on the other hand, would it be a good idea to not trigger Callum Wilson's contract extension? Now, yet again, I can see the positives and the negatives for this situation. Let me know down below yet again. But as for not, Newcastle have obviously been rumoured and linked with Jonathan David, who of course is a free agent in the summer transfer window. Now, that doesn't really prove anything because Jonathan David, as of course, scoring in the Champions League and Ligue 1 for many years for Lille now, lost Lille, he's been linked with nearly every single half-decent club on planet Earth. And I'm not joking there, by the way. Honestly, this guy is, he's getting shipped off to everywhere, and I don't blame him. Being a free agent and a player of that calibre, he's not a world beater, however, he is a decent player. Now, if Newcastle were in an alternative universe to sign Jonathan David on a free, then I would be happy to let Callum Wilson go. Yes, of course he scores goals, but he's never available, and that never being available, I don't think it is because the players speak so highly of how good he bounces back, and for sure, bouncing back from all these injuries even better and still scoring goals is unbelievable from Callum Wilson, and it never really gets spoken about. However, if the players are, fit week in, week out, and they're getting paid less than Callum Wilson, Lewis Hall, for example, who may not be on a lucrative deal yet, just signing not too long ago, he's got to be thinking, players like that, well, how is this guy getting paid more than me? And he barely ever plays. It must be quite annoying for the players. However, we all know he scores goals, fantastic player for the club. But if we were to sign Jonathan David, who, although may have his doubts about playing second string to Alexander Isak, who may need to be rotated with, hopefully, don't want to jinx it, European football next season, he will also know coming to the club, Alexander Isak will need to be rotated. Judging by previous injury concerns and all that sort of stuff, and of course, extra games in Carabao, FA Cup, and the Champions League. Definitely just jinxed us saying that. Any European football will do, preferably the Champions League, or even the Europa League. I don't know what the players are going to think about that, but fingers crossed, anyone would do for me as a fan. But in my opinion, all I can say for myself personally, ladies and gentlemen, I would trigger it if we do prioritise other positions, but I would not trigger it if we do sign someone like Jonathan David, or even another striker, whoever it may be. If we do get another striker through the door, Callum Wilson, it's got to be goodbye. What an unbelievable striker though, and actually for the price we've paid for him, I know he hasn't exactly been there week in, week out for Newcastle, but he's been such a great signing. Honestly, kept us up in the Premier League with the likes of Alan St-Maximin, even the likes of Martin Dubravka back in the days, Jamal Lascelles, all them sort of players. They've done so good for Newcastle United, yet again, in the dark days, and they will not be forgotten because, obviously, if we got relegated to the Championship under Steve Bruce, when players like Callum Wilson were playing, we might not have got taken over. So it's because of players like that and every other player who kept us afloat in the Premier League due to this takeover, and we've always got to be grateful of them. But nevertheless, that was a bit of a little takeaway from where the actual point was. You let me know down below if you would trigger Callum Wilson's contract extension, of course, a 1-year contract extension, so he doesn't become a free agent in the summer. And Newcastle don't lose a player worth its value. I can't exactly guess that clubs are going to pay £5-10 million for Callum Wilson, but it would be something. Yet again, I've been Geordie Josh. If you did enjoy the video, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you are new for all Newcastle United content. I've been Geordie Josh. Go and enjoy your day, people.